Okay, welcome in. It's Evan Marinofsky, John Zannis, and of course, we're talking about the massive Bruins story of the day. Yes, they beat the Canes 3-1 to take a 2-1 series lead, which is great, but it's Tuukka now, Tuukka tomorrow, Tuukka tonight. That's what we're going to be
Tuukka
talking about.
time.
It's Tuukka time in the wrong way and not a way that anybody wants to talk about, but here's what we know. Tuukka Rask opted out of the NHL season, NHL playoffs, by telling Don Sweeney and Cam Neely this morning, who then informed the rest of the team, and they found out late, kind of as they were heading to the arena, which is what it is. By all accounts, and from reports we're hearing, that this is a legitimate issue, not just Tuukka wanting to be with his family, but an emergency that required him to be home, to take himself out of the bubble, to attend to a family matter. So it was a legitimate family emergency, and nobody's going to say that Tuukka did the wrong thing. But what we are going to discuss here, Evan, is regardless of that and Tuukka making the right decision, what the long-term implications for him and the Bruins are going to be. So let's start again with the decision he made today. And again, maybe the emergency was so severe that he had to run and told those guys on the fly and couldn't address his teammates. But the fact that he wasn't able to address his teammates or tell his coach directly is something that potentially could sit poorly with some people.
Yeah, and the thing is, we don't know. But
We don't know.
But going off what Sweeney said, I don't really know if this was a true emergency happened this morning. He had to get home immediately because, as Sweeney said this morning before Game 3,
He knew it. He saw it coming.
He knew this was coming. He knew this was going to happen, or he knew it was kind of headed that direction.
Right.
They were privy to it. That's what he said.
Yeah.
That's the thing. So this has sort of been coming. As you saw in the comments he made after Game 2 that everyone took issue with about it being an exhibition game, Sweeney kind of said, there's a little bit of a connection there. So I'm sort of with you on this, John. I think it's hard to sit here and say he made the wrong decision because family does come first. The team said that a million times, and it's true. Hockey's a game. Family is way more legit, and we understand that. But to not address the team is a little bit odd. Yeah. Especially for Yaroslav Halak. And I thought, I imagined when this news first dropped that we would hear that Rask came out last night, said it, and that we're just hearing this morning. But for them to hear on the team bus, I don't know what time that was. I would think around like 9, 10 o'clock. That gives no time for Yaroslav Halak to prepare for Game 3. Now, I know it's a hockey game compared to family, but Halak is your 1B. He is your guy. He's your teammate. And to not tell him or let him know or let the team know is a little bit weird. And I think in that sense, I think it could have been handled a little bit better. Not that he made the wrong decision, but that he just handled it a little bit not so great.
Yeah, and that's the thing is because you don't have time to process it. You're geared up mentally. These are professional athletes, okay? Their process going into games and how they mentally prepare themselves for this and to get into that locked-in mode is whatever it is, but it's certainly something that has served them well over time because they're professional athletes. That's how they get focused. They're locked in to what they have to do. And this is hours before a game. There's no morning skate here. They're going to the arena to play a game at 12 o'clock. And they find out their number one goalie and Vezina Trophy finalist is not there. And again, you're talking about Halak's mental preparation. The team all of a sudden wondering, not having context, not having it explained to them in a way where they have time to process. Now, they're very fortunate they won the game, and it could serve as a rallying point, which kind of puts it on the back burner. But if they came out flat, confused, Halak was off, again, that would have bubbled up a million different things that people would have started to discuss. Well, yeah, they got blindsided by this news. What were they supposed to do? So thankfully it's a win and we don't have to have that conversation. But you're right. The ripple effects of kind of feeling like you got left high and dry, again, whether right or wrong, just that emotional response you could have to learning like, oh, man, like, I get it. It's right that he's gone, but, man, that's have to find out now. And you could see how they could be on a bit of a roller coaster just hearing the news. At the end of the day, everyone's going to embrace and support their teammate, particularly if they hear details or have a better idea of what happened and said, oh, man, I would have done what you did, of course. But it didn't happen that way.
So that's the thing. And you mentioned the future aspect of it. And this was one thing I tweeted when it first happened was, what is the future of Rask with the Bruins now? Now, obviously, family emergencies are family emergencies. No one should be faulted for going and attending to stuff on the home front. Absolutely not. But he does have a year left on his contract. And you do have to wonder, with him now 33, I believe he's going to be 34 or 35 at the end of his current contract. Are they going to be willing to pay him a lot for him to come to return. And the other thing is with Rask sort of being the way he is, there's been a lot of question of, is next year going to be Rask's last year? I mean, that's a legitimate question. Is Rask going to retire after next year? That's something we've questioned for a long time. I mean, the way he sort of acts, he's very nonchalant, going to attend to his family in the middle of a postseason run. Is he going to say, you know what, I have 3 daughters at home. I made my money. I had my career. I had my success. Let me go live the rest of my life.
Yeah.
So I think that is totally honest and a good thing to question, because I do think that's totally in the realm of possibility.
Yeah. And there are rink rats, and there are guys who live and die with this. And then there are people who are just happen to be really good at this thing and do it for a living, and enjoy it when they're there, but they have other things in their mind and other priorities. And obviously, again, who can fault them? To me, less about the team on its own. Again, paying top dollar, again, Rask being, at least when he signed, a top of market goalie, but thinking of paying that type of money at that position for a person of that age, that's its own conversation to be had, regardless of what's happening here or what transpired in these kind of extreme circumstances. The bigger issue for me is how can you return here? I don't know whether there's going to be any rancor among his teammates. Even if that's fine, the fan base is a fan base here that has never fully embraced him. He's a polarizing figure. Every time he has a poor performance, immediately people forget about all the good that he's done. People ignore numbers to make their point that he's a choker and he's this and that, even when the numbers don't support that narrative. So people are always looking for a reason to bury this guy. And this is another one that's going to be, again, regardless of what comes out, regardless of what people learn and how sympathetic his position here actually is, they're going to look for that excuse. And I just don't know how he can return without having this kind of vibe and aura around him that, you know what, he could quit again. Who knows? Can't trust this guy. People will feel that way.
Yes, and they will. And I think that this will get grouped in with 2010 and 2013 and 2019 and not returning for the regular season game in 2016 to potentially go to the playoffs. It's all going to be meshed in with that. Now, I do
you got a tummy ache. You didn't feel like playing. Again,
exactly.
People want to find reasons to bury him.
And I do think this is a different scenario.
Of course it is.
Take out the fact that he handled it wrong with his teammates. Isolated, you are up in Toronto by yourself, away from your family. He has a newborn daughter at home. We're in the midst of a pandemic. Like, this isn't a normal scenario. This is not last year's postseason or any of the postseasons before, and he decides in the middle of the first round, hey, you know what? I'm not really feeling it this year. I'm not going to play. This is a totally different scenario. Now, I respect the passion from fans that think that a postseason game is more important than their family. That helps us in the content business. But I will tell you this, it's not true. It's not. Right. The family is more important than a hockey game. And these times are very weird, are irregular, are scary. So that aspect of it, you do have to respect. And I don't think you can group that in with everything
else. You're going to have the rub some dirt on it, suck it up crowd.
Yes.
And I mean, right before the game, Milbury on a national broadcast, without having a clue what he's talking about and no context whatsoever, kind of had a reaction that I think is going to be shared by a huge swath of fans, which is, nobody else is doing this. Everyone else has a family. What gives? And again, no sympathy at all.
I thought Milbury went easy on him. I thought for Mike Milbury, I thought he actually went easy on him.
He did, because I think his conscience kept him from saying what he truly felt. But clearly, to be able to voice that opinion without context and without knowing what's going on with Tuukka, he's of the opinion that that's his muffled, I'm on TV point of view. I mean, but deep down, if you're going to say that out there without knowing really what's going on, it means deep down you think he kind of wimped out and he should be there and give me a break with this stuff. But I know I have to say I'm sympathetic and I get it and family first, blah, 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 ... but. And his whole point, and every point is always made after the but. And so I think a lot of fans are going to say that publicly, blah, 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 family, but come on. And the but is the whole story. And a lot of people are going to operate that way.
I agree. I think, and again, we've said it, this is absolutely one of those times, and it's going to be lumped in with everything else. And I just think it's so much different, and it's not going to get looked at like that. I think you're going to have the media say it's different, but I think you're going to have your Felger and Mazes, your columnists totally put it in with those other ones. I mean, you know, Felger and Maz yesterday were talking, or on Friday we're talking about whether or not Rask just likes to play hockey.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, they're valid questions sometimes, but in this situation, it's totally different, and it's hard to group those in with everything else.
Yeah. Again, we'll talk more. Again, who knows if we'll learn more? I don't know that it matters. You know, we're all in agreement, and I think we believe that this is a situation where he felt he had no choice, so he made the right decision. I don't think there's reason to question it. I just don't know whether a lot of people care. So it's going to continue on to the narrative. Obviously, on Saturday, they escape any sort of extra scrutiny by Halak playing a great game. And moving forward, we'll talk more about Halak and a whole bunch of other things in another video we want you guys to catch. But until then, keep watching. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Evan Marinofsky, John Zannis. We'll see you later.